Hey, it's Will again. I'm here for another model review. Today I'll be reviewing the Autoart SVJ. I have the metallic red color, and let's dig right into it. And here we are. This is again called the Rosso Efesto, or metallic red. First of all, I always like to point out the silhouette of the car. The shape is very accurate to the actual car. The wheels, typical Autoart fashion, they're done very accurate, very clear, very concise. They have the Lamborghini logo clearly on the hub, scripting on the brake calipers. The ceramic disc, again, look very close to the actual thing, which is a good thing. The level of gloss that's put on the trim is very good. It's clear. The carbon fiber on the mirrors is there. I'll touch on the carbon fiber a little bit later. Moving on to the front. The headlight detail is clear, concise. The headlights are aligned perfectly. The Lamborghini logo is pressed in. It's not a decal, which is very cool. It's a nice feature. The front splitter is a gloss black that is accurate to the actual model. It has all the ducting, and again it has a carbon fiber, I'm going to call it a mid lip, which again is decent, and I'll touch on the carbon fiber detail again in a moment. So moving on to the rear of the model. Rear headlight detail is just as good as the front. The exhaust are black plastic. The actual car, the exhaust tailpipes are black. They're just a black metal, so this plastic is actually okay. And again, if you didn't know any better as plastic, you wouldn't even think about it, so that is pretty accurate. I've had some criticisms that looked cheap and plasticky. It just pretty much looks like the real thing, to be honest with you. It does have the cooling ducts as well as the radiators, if you want to call it that. The splitter again is very good. It has the Aventador SVJ that's on the back there on the plate, which is a nice touch. Their overall paint, I can't stress how beautiful this is. It is a very well applied paint. Autoart models in the past, especially when they just started doing the composite material as opposed to the die-cast metal, they really had issues with the paint, in that the paint really didn't have a sense of depth to it, and it wasn't as clear. It looked like basically a molded plastic color as opposed to an applied paint. And they've come a long way in the last few years with their paints. This is a beautiful paint color. I still can't say it has the depth of a resin model, but it's pretty close. The function of opening the doors is actually quite difficult compared to the die-cast counterparts, the previous Autoarts. They open, but it's kind of a bear to get them open, and it has a lot to do with the flimsy and the lightness of this composite material. It's not solid. It doesn't even feel that way. It's you almost feel like if you just tried a little too hard, you might break it. So it's kind of a negative. You know, I'm going to do the engine detail first this time. And what I can say about the engine is that it is very well done. It has some depth to it, which is really great. You have all your wiring and your caps for your coolants and the other fluids that a vehicle would typically have. As you can see right here, there is a carbon fiber cover on this V12. And then you also have the braces. Now the braces are supposed to be carbon fiber. But take a look at that. That looks like a plastic with bumps on it to me. The carbon fiber that's on the actual top of the valve covers and on the outer sides here. I don't know if you have ever seen or owned a Burago model. If I have a video of it, I'll throw it up. If I have a shot of it, I'll throw it on here so you can see it. But the way that this is done is very similar to a Burago. They started using this for their FXK models or FXXK models that they produced a few years back. And the reception of this style of doing this was acceptable. It was actually pretty clever because it does, especially if you're at a distance, it does give, see that? It does give that glossy look of carbon fiber. What they did here is they found a way to basically raise up the plastics and basically come up with this molding technique that mimics carbon fiber. And carbon fiber has some grayish tint to it. This is all black, but the way that the plastics are raised, again, it's a slick way of mimicking a carbon fiber pattern. So I'm not going to say it looks bad. I'm not going to say it looks really good either, because it's inconsistent. Inconsistent in that, let's see if I can find a better view for you. There are other parts of this model that also have carbon fiber print or tampoed or however they put it on here. And this is not that moldy plastic. This is the typical Autoart way of applying applying carbon fiber. So it's more of a decal with some glossy clear coat on it. So that's what I meant by getting back with you on the carbon fiber. It's just interesting that they decided to do it that way. Same thing with the mirrors. I'm going to start calling this the Burago effect. This here is the typical Autoart carbon fiber. This here is the engine cover. That's the Burago carbon fiber style. Which again, in some frame of way you're looking at it or angle you're looking at it, it looks good, but in others, it just looks like plastic. Anyway, there's flocking in the trunk, which is cool. The operation for opening this is excellent. Really love the hinge work that was done on this. I am very sure the back where the engine cover is placed, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just going to assume that the actual car, and correct me if I'm wrong, actually has hinges, and this was an easier way or a cheaper way for Autoart to skip out on that. I could be wrong, but I just have a hard time believing that Lamborghini would go from having a hinged hood or trunk or engine cover to a piece that would actually take two people in real life to remove. The piece itself is really nice. It even has the perforated grill on the back, which is really cool. As for the interior, the door cards are really cool. I like that they do have the strap on here. This is plastic. Some model makers will use an actual cloth material to mimic that. They decided to use plastic this time. Nothing wrong with that. Still looks good. Has the little decal as a light for the door opening, which is okay. It's acceptable. The interior itself It's acceptable for an Autoart. Lots of detail in there. You can look on the floor, you can see the gas and brake pedal. I like that they do have the holes in it for just like the real thing. The switches are pretty accurate as well. It's definitely a 3D effect to it, so it does give some sense of realism. Looking at far corner, you can see the Lamborghini signature on the dashboard. It's nice and clear, which is really awesome. The seats are well done. They give a sense of softness. The floor mat, which is really cool. I'm assuming this is on the actual car as well. Has the I don't know what you would call it, but that looks great as well. Just give it one more look before I do my conclusions. My final thoughts on the Autoart Aventador SVJ are as follows. Overall, this is a fantastic model. The things that stand out the most are the paint. The paint is perfect. It has a really nice gloss to it. It's applied perfectly. There's no imperfections. The wheels would be another thing. Autoart's been really great for a very long time at wheel detail. They're really good at it. These are no exception to that. They are really great. Autoart also puts the tire script on these tires. So the F0 is on the tires and it's raised, which I'm not sure there are any other manufacturers that are doing that. So it is definitely a big plus for Autoart for doing that, and I applaud them for doing so. The front and rear tires are sized differently, just like the real model. Be surprised at how some models leave that detail out. That detail was included with this model, which is really great. Some of the negatives, the carbon fiber. As I mentioned before, the inconsistencies in the different parts where they will use the applied decal with the clear coat versus the molded plastic. The molded plastic does not look that great in certain angles. It looks like molded plastic. I wish they would stop doing that. I don't know if it's a cost-cutting method, not sure. I do know that there are other manufacturers out there who are far better than Autoart when it comes to carbon fiber. BBR stands out as one, MR Models is another, Liberty Walk would be another example. So it can be done. I'm not sure why Autoart is doing it the way that they are. Who knows? Other than that, I would definitely recommend this model. This one is priced roughly around $225, $250. Seems like a hefty price tag, but in this inflationary times right now, it's not surprising, so it's actually pretty average, believe it or not. With that, I'll conclude my review. If you do have any comments, please leave them below. If there's anything you'd like me to review, you can leave that as well. If I can get access to it, I'll definitely review it. Other than that, thank you very much, and see you next time.